We are going to move now into the real estate space. Shout out Trent Spider. Shout out Stock Market News for being on here. I see a couple of speakers for this real estate space already in the audience. I see Tyler and some others. I think Chad is also going to be joining in. John, what's going on?
What's going on, Gob? Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What have you been up to?
I'm sitting in a production studio in LA right now. We're about to shoot some content for a company that's also bringing real world assets into the media space. And I'm sitting here talking to you guys about real estate and Web3.
Sick. Love to see it. Let me go ahead and just change the title on this one, but that sounds pretty cool, man. A man who travels. Love to see it. Yeah, I'm actually going to be out in LA in about a week. You still going to be there or headed out?
Nope, I'll be out of here Thursday. And it's a little bit chilly here. I left New York, brought the cold with me.
Ooh, well, hopefully it warms up sooner than later because I ain't looking forward to cold weather. It's not why I'm traveling. All right, Tyler. Sorry. Go on. I couldn't tell if he was saying something. Tyler, what's going on?
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today?
Good, man. You sound like you got a little happiness in your voice.
I always have some happiness, but it depends when you catch me. I'm not doing 45 things at this current time. Sometimes when that happens, maybe my happiness doesn't come out in my voice, but I'm always happy. I'm definitely happy to be here with John. I love talking to John.
Love talking to you too, man. Love being here, guys. I'm talking some real estate today. Real estate's looking a little bit more attractive recently, I would say. Markets are kind of coughing. Feel a little bit sick.
It depends if you sold out of your positions and you have some cash. People are bleeding right now, man.
Yeah, I feel bad for everybody. We're all suffering through this together. We all have the same exposure. I think to recontextualize it today, it's really a conversation about, the benefits of real estate through down markets, and that benefit is yield. And that's our principal concern. And so I think that's what makes this product that we're describing today with Balcony DAO a little bit different because it doesn't have these same dramatic pull downs that we're going through. It's a little bit less of a roller coaster. And that's why it's generally someplace that you should have some quantum of your net worth invested. And I think these markets have really kind of underscored that. Unfortunately, I wish they hadn't, but the reality is I think that they very well have.
All right, real quick, I just went ahead and put out a tweet just letting people know that we are live. Let me get that over to Stock Market News. If he was on here. Okay, cool. And then, Dan, what's going on? I see you came up.
All good, man. What's going on? How you doing today?
Very solid, very solid. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Post, what's going on with you? I think we got him on. Let me also go ahead. I think there's a couple other people. Value in Time, I saw like the tweet. Real Crypto Law, I think might be popping in. There basically is going to be, I think, a few others, but we can go ahead and get started because it sounded like there was a pretty interesting topic right there that you were starting on, Tyler, which is these markets. So let me just preface this real quick to everyone that's in the audience. We're coming from the technical analysis space. I'm just keeping this space open. We're rolling into the next space. So for this space, we are going to be discussing real estate in Web3. A ton going on in this area. It's a really interesting topic. Essentially, this is still the real estate that you are used to, buying and selling of buildings in real life, but moving a lot of that data and information onto the blockchain in a way that it can be utilized for transparency purposes, for keeping essentially all the details that you would typically be signing on all these different paper products or over email or anything, and just packaging it in that NFT wrapper, putting it on the blockchain. So that's one of the things that we're discussing here. We're doing it with the Balcony DAO team. So I see the Balcony DAO account in the crowd. Would love to bring them up here so we have them. But you can see John as well as Dan, Crypto, Damas are both up here already. We also have Tyler and Post who are going to be chatting with us.
I got Alex in the background with me too, by the way, Mr. Assets. Hey, how's it going, guys?
There we go. We got Alex too. So let me go ahead and pin up top. Ooh, I guess I just removed the tweet that I had pinned. But essentially, let me pin up top first the tweet about the space that we are live. If everyone wants to take a second, just interact or share that out, that'd be awesome. And then I'll also pin some stuff on Balcony DAO. But let's get right into it. So Tyler, you were talking about the current state of the market. People are bleeding, but other people are finding opportunity. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that? And then John, jump in on that?
Sure. I mean, if anyone has a phone or has access to the internet, they know that their positions are probably not what they look like a week ago or 3 months ago. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about real estate is they're not tied to real estate is definitely not tied to your traditional investments. And I think that's something that makes Balcony DAO and companies like Lex really exciting. And John, I have so many questions about the current state of the world and your business model, but I think that could be a good segue just explaining what Balcony does so the listeners can understand a little bit more about how you're differentiated and how you can limit your downside risk in a market like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, firstly, what we're doing is taking real estate and bringing it on the blockchain as NFTs. And that's allowing people to purchase fractionalized ownership of real world productive real estate that's managed professionally that throws off real yield. So you become an owner of real estate by purchasing this NFT. And in addition to innovating across who gets access to that, which is in a perfect world, as many people as possible, we remove the gates that have been put up around real estate investment for all of financial history. Really, this has been a small club of people who've had privileged access to deals because maybe they go to the same country club as the developer, or their kids go to school with his kids, or whatever the case may be. And we're making that available to everyone. And to do that, we need to give them confidence in what they're investing in. And so we are also innovating on the technology front by developing the RENFT. And the RENFT expands on the metadata capacity of the existing ERC 721 and ERC 1155 protocols, which is how you would typically bring an asset on chain as an NFT. And I say typically, not because very many people are doing it, but because if they are doing it or care to do it, those are probably the two best pieces of technology available. But we find them insufficient for what we want to do. So we're developing a new technology that allows you to bring massive amounts of metadata about real estate into the schema, right? Which is just essentially a blueprint. Schema, blueprint, basically synonyms. And so what that means is if you want to know anything about this asset, its size, its total square footage, its encumbrances, its air rights, its liens, its rental income, its property taxes, all of that information lives inside of this NFT. So you can inspect that data and make an informed decision and purchase it and hold it and receive yield from real world real estate in the form of an NFT.
That's awesome. I love it. Anyone in the Web3 world, I think, believes in the mission that you guys are building. I want to talk about the DPEG that we're talking that's kind of happened in the past 24, 48 hours and talk about how you guys limit your downside exposure to something like that happening in the stable world.
Absolutely. So as you know, and I guess our audience is going to now learn, part of our model is leveraging the aspects of DeFi that we find attractive, and in particular, that's stablecoins, or what used to be called stablecoins, I guess, at the moment. Now, the current stablecoin pain is limited to UST, right? We would not invest in UST entirely, and to the extent that we did, we would carry something called DPEG insurance and exploit insurance. And there's several different providers who offer this service to people who invest inside of the stablecoin liquidity pools. Now, what we're doing is we're watching them paying out on those insurance policies, which is all going to be transparent. And this for us is a great test of these insurers, right, who put out a certain amount of capacity to satisfy the DPEG claims as they come in. And what I think we're going to see is with UST, they are going to pay out on those claims. I think we're going to see that they're going to stabilize pretty quickly, but that's not necessary by itself to make what we're doing successful, right? So we are also laddering that risk. And so that risk gets spread across very many different protocols. The UST protocol is probably the highest piece of our risk on our ladder and would represent very little of our investment into stablecoins for the reasons that we're witnessing. There's Tether, there's USDC, there's other options out there. And while that risk is lower and that yield is lower, we think that they're more appropriate for the type of work we're doing. And the goal with our investment in stablecoins is really to create a positive carry during development. right? So instead of taking out construction loans, we raised the terminal value of the asset at cash flow zero. We take that capital and place it across very many different liquidity pools that are insured against exactly this type of event. And instead of having a negative carry where we're paying construction loans over the course of the development of the project, we end up yielding during that period. And so, this event, while unfortunate, doesn't change our thesis. This was our view on our last call when someone said, listen, would you guys be in Anchor and UST? And we said, no, that's not where we're looking right now because of the inherent risk. So unfortunately, this is not something that's surprising to us. And it's not something that would have left us exposed in our model.
I love it. And I think that's the way you guys are thinking about it, you're de-risked against traditional market downturn and you're de-risked against potential craziness in the Web3 world. I think the way you're thinking about it and going about it is incredible. What other things do you think would be great for people to know, John?
Well, I think the foundation of what we're doing is we believe in real estate as an asset class, right? And our issues with real estate are not that real estate is inefficient or real estate's broken. These are like these sweeping comments that people make who are looking to be quote unquote disruptive. What we want to disrupt is access to this asset class, and we want to enhance the asset class by providing more liquidity and more transparency. And so we want to hold ourselves to a standard that's higher than the public markets. And that is only possible through Web3 by creating real-time reporting on these assets. So instead of reporting every 90 days, we report in real time, immediately, right? So if a lease is signed and you now have a tenant who's paying 100% more rent, you see that immediately. If a tenant goes out and the space is vacant, you see that immediately. And so that entire process is streamlined. And from a sponsor's perspective, it also streamlines the communications with investors and the transparency with investors, all the way down to issuing the K2s to individual investors on those investments. And so this is really a play for real estate and just using the technology that we have to make it more attractive to investors, to increase the value of the asset by making it more transparent and by creating liquidity that increases that asset's value. That is only possible through increased transparency. So for us, we're not looking at this as this is some, revolutionary new thing. No, what we're doing is we're taking really excellent technology and we're leveraging it to what we view as its highest and best use, which is applying it towards a $326 trillion total addressable market, which is real estate.
First off, John and I have gone back and forth about this maybe 4 or 5 times now. I have asked tons of questions, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. Do any of the other speakers have questions for John about what's going on? If not, I can keep firing, but they might be a little repetitive.
I want to welcome in Real Crypto Law, who also popped up here and did a space with us yesterday. I know that you're friends with Post as well. I think I invited you into this space as well as the one after this. This one, again, for anyone who kind of joined up late, this is focused on really the area of real estate kind of meeting Web3. So John and his team over at Balcony DAO, they are fully licensed real estate investors, I guess, kind of entrepreneurs in their way. They are managing, I believe, billions of dollars of real estate. They're trying to make this move to bring it into the Web3 area for a couple of different purposes. One, I think ease of deals. 2, putting things inside of that NFT wrapper. 3, transparency and more. So Real Crypto Law, would love to bring you into this, kind of get your thoughts on it. If you looked at anything like this, and then just any questions or anything you want to kind of throw into the mix.
No, definitely really interesting. Appreciate you bringing me up, man. No, crypto with real estate, I think it's the future. Like, I know that I'm potentially getting into a deal where I'm helping a client buy a house, and in the contract, she wants to only sell it for Bitcoin. Of course, obviously, there's the concern if Bitcoin goes down in value like it's happening now, but I think it's a future, especially with the blockchain and just potentially owning an NFT and therefore owning the property. By owning the NFT, you can avoid contracting laws, you can avoid dealing with people like me, lawyers, and other expenses that you really don't need in the real estate environment. But no, it's really interesting. I just got in here though. I'm listening a little bit. I'll probably have some questions going forward. I would appreciate it, Wolf.
So Crypto Law, you may be interested in what the long eye view of this is, where the real revolutionary work happens. If we're looking out 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, whatever that is out in the distance, the idea is that using the technology that we're developing, using the platform that we're creating, every single contract becomes a smart contract. That doesn't mean that lawyers go away. It just means that you better learn how to code in Solidity or explain to people how to do it. Because what we're looking for is the ability to automate all of these promises, all of these commitments, all of these assets, and all of these liabilities so that they operate the way they're intended in the spirit of these agreements. And some of that stuff, as you know, as an attorney, is open to interpretation. The idea is to limit the interpretation into discrete binaries so that eventually an entire real estate capital stack and an entire real estate asset operates from start to finish on the blockchain using these binaries. And that's the long eye view. And what we're doing is creating the schema and the foundation so that one day we'll be able to bring these assets on chain, capitalize them in seconds, and have all of those disbursements paid to all investors, completely automated, everything in smart code, all of the LP agreements, all of the GP agreements, everything that lives on that chain.
No, definitely. I was referring to like the lawyers not really being around in the sense because of the fact that everything would be automated. Like when a lease ends from not paying, automatically the NFT will be transferred or reverted back to the original owner, for instance, if that was in the smart contract itself. Yeah, there definitely will be lawyers involved in, I guess, the solidity and all the issues behind that. If somebody doesn't believe that they should have been evicted as a result of not paying a rent based on the fact they had the NFT that represented their lease, and therefore, there are issues with that. But it will definitely be interesting to see what's going to happen in the future. I heavily see NFTs being involved in contracts. I don't see why that would ever be a problem, and I definitely see that being in the future. But it's really cool, man, what you're doing.
It's great to hear you say that. A lot of attorneys view this as a disintermediation tool, and you and I see it, I think, the same way, which is that this isn't about disintermediation; it's about efficiency and transparency. I think that your
streamline things for sure.
Exactly right. And I think this is what the investors want, right? And ultimately, we're all beholden to markets. And the markets are telling us over the past, 42 years that I've been on this planet, that markets need to be more transparent, more efficient, and utilize technology to meet that end. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now. I think that we're at the beginning of a revolution. And so while, the monkey pictures are dying, and while people are losing confidence in sort of complete hype projects, these real world utilities for this technology are taking shape. And so we're excited about it. I mean, we don't want to show too much excitement because I know there's some people who are mourning the loss of their portfolio today, but we see this as sort of a necessary event to usher in this new wave of Web3 in a new form.
Well, that's what Web3 is, right? Bringing in like the consumerism aspect of it. And it's kind of funny you're saying how technology is supposed to make things easier. I think it took so long for just the internet coming out back in the 90s to today for us to even be able to say that it's finally going to be streamlined with technology. Because as we know, we get rugged in spaces itself. So I can imagine that obviously technology hasn't been the best. But right now, I think we are at the peak where NFTs would allow for that in that streamlined process. And you're right, investors don't want that, because I can only imagine, and you probably know being in real estate, how many times investors have spent significant sums of money on contracting issues, whether something should mean this or that, and things not going forward because it's not automatic. And this would make things automatic. And it would actually kind of, I think, eliminate a lot of issues in the courts that are kind of simple, that should be simple to deal with, that, somebody normally has to go ahead and sue for and I guess retain possession, have a whole bunch of other stuff they're dealing with. This would definitely cut that down. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in the market when that's more streamlined and mainstream.
Yeah, the most interesting moment in that trajectory is in the liminal space between wholesale adoption and early adopters, which is to say, we bring our projects online and we allow every single person here to go and purchase a piece of that project, own a piece of that real estate, have that yield, know exactly where their money is, exactly what's being done on an asset level. They know when, the bill gets paid for the light bulbs in the property. They know everything, right? In that liminal space where people who are slow to adopt don't automate their processes, don't use this type of technology, where is the consumer going to go? Are they going to go to the space that is completely opaque, where they have no idea what's going on with their investment, or are they going to migrate quickly to the properties that are being offered in this way? And our thesis is exactly that. People are going to migrate to the high transparency properties. So I think that we're going to see, as this develops, that properties that adopt this technology are going to immediately be worth more relevant to properties that are similar but are doing things the sort of antiquated paper way. And that's going to be, not just the point where we feel vindicated, but that's going to be the place where the most amount of value is going to be created.
No, I totally agree with like everything you said there, man. That's really, really cool. And you're right. That's happened for years though, right? Like anything that's new and better and more streamlined, everybody's always ran to that. Nobody's really stayed with like the opaque issues of even technology. If that was the case, we'd still be using DOS right now, but we're not. So it's I think your thesis is right, man. I think it's going to definitely happen. I can definitely see the value going up, especially because of the fact that now you're also allowing other ways of purchasing, other ownerships, people knowing what's actually going on in their investments. I like that because the transparency is real, and you don't really see that in general investments, REITs, or anything else like that. You just know that you're potentially getting back a return eventually, maybe.
Then there's leveraging the actual Web3 communities, right? And the community is sort of this nebulous term. Generally speaking, community is shorthand for liquidity providers. People are just ashamed to say it. But the reality is that's what most of these communities operate as. But you could see in a real estate space, when you're actually building things and your investor, your consumer, and your tenant are all the same person in many cases. In our DAO structure, where each individual asset is a sub-DAO, you as the person who's ultimately going to buy that condo or live in that rental unit can start to make assessments of what ought to be built there. Meaning, does it need to have balconies, for example, right? Does it need to have an amenities core? Should have a treadmill? Should have a dog park? These types of things that have typically been the province of developers who just try to divine from markets with a very small amount of data that has all been created from developers just like them, also trying to divine this without real input from the end user. That changes, right? So do we end up building properties that are a better product market fit for consumers? I think we do. I think that the delta between the old way and the new way becomes enormous through time.
It'll be interesting to see because if that's the case and that happens, then as kind of trends change and ideas change, eventually neighborhoods potentially could have like different genres as time has gone by based on like what is normally was approved previously to now if there were no improvements therein. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Sweet. Okay, so one thing I'll put out there is we often end up getting some great questions from the audience during these spaces. We get questions on real estate, we get questions on Web3, we get questions on utility, we get a bunch of different pieces, and we're super, super open to those. So if you do have a question, we already brought up a couple people, but go ahead and just request. No question too simple, too crazy. We're completely happy to take those type of stuff up here. And I see we got Miguel 23. What's up, Miguel?
Hey there, everyone. Thanks so much, Wolf, for bringing me up. And I have wanted to come up and ask a question. I'm been in space. Well, I've been in tech for years, but I really got back into tech and into Web3 only just within the past 6 months, and just into a launchpad company, and then now I'm just launched a DAO. Soil DAO, and it is real estate related, but not really. But I'm not here to shill my own DAO or project. However, I would like to connect with you, John, later to talk about that, maybe and maybe in another space. But what I do want to ask about is, and I want to ask mainly because I'm being scouted by a company that has a technology that it's like a human readable agreement contract layer for Web3. So it's an actual contract layer that's like actual human readable contracts, and it's cross chain, so it can go over work with on any chain. And so it's on the protocol level, on the fundamental level, right? So they're trying to figure out use case scenarios. And as I was listening to John, I'm realizing, well, and we talked, they mentioned that real estate would be a good play, but it's all just like we're trying to figure out how exactly. And so I'm listening to John, I'm thinking, well, there's real estate has a lot of contracts, a lot of human readable contracts that are required in order to move processes along. And I'm just curious, like if if that, how is that? Because I know you're talking about making everything through just having smart contracts, but a smart contract generally from is, you know, delegates the voting and movement of tokens usually, right? There's that movement of, and that can of course make actions happen. Um but what about the actual human readable contracts that need to be signed and agreed on between two people? I mean, there's I'm curious if, like, how are you how's your technology planning to deal with that? Because I can only imagine that with so many contractual agreements, actual like full on human readable, actual word agreements that have to go on in real estate, how do you plan on mitigating that? I hope my question was clear.
Yeah, your question is excellent, and it speaks to sort of a few different things. Firstly, um, in the short term, we take the actual paper contracts and we are tracing the emissions, if you will, from it, right? The way you would in a smart contract. And what are the emissions? Well, a payment was made for the rent. That's that's sort of an emission, right? We put that on chain as an actual smart contract in the sense that the payment lives on the blockchain in the metadata for this NFT for perpetuity. That's the short term way to do that. Long term, what you're describing is frankly my vision for how the world will work, which is these human readable contracts are executing on the chain. And the process to get there is pretty similar. It sounds like you're a developer, right? You're going to sit down and you're going to write a piece of code. The first thing you do is you start to kind of like sketch out high level what needs to happen. That's kind of like a term sheet in real estate, right? These are the things that I expect to happen, and these are the ways I expect this contract to behave. Then you go in and you start drafting how that actually gets memorialized, right? And if you're an attorney, you're doing that in legalese, which is a human compiled, human executed language that none of us use. We don't walk around talking about commercially reasonable attempts to go get milk at the supermarket when your wife sends you out for milk, right? We don't say the heretofore milk was purchased at ShopRite on Grand Avenue, right? So we don't speak in legalese. We only use legalese to execute human compiled legalese code that we write for these contracts. Turning that into a smart contract is really a function of taking that term sheet, taking that plan for what ought to happen, converting that into solidity, and then making the spirit of that or the execution of that sort of comments to the code that are human readable that people can understand. And so it's really not a leap at all to see how this plays out.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can see that. I also see how it might just also make it maybe not necessarily unnecessary, but it might be even easier if there was a way that like a layer existed that could work along with the solidity contract, except it was a human readable agreement that could flow between two people securely. And I'm not a developer, by the way, but thank you for that vote of confidence. Somehow I came across as one, but I do work with developers. But I don't want to like take up any other more time if people have other questions. But John, I would love to chat with you, maybe like about uh, this technology. And maybe if we, I just sent you a follow. But yeah, and this is really exciting. I'm just gonna actually like sit back and listen to more questions because I'm learning as I'm. We just launched Soil DAO just a month ago with 5 friends. So thanks for bringing me up, Wolf, and thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, I want to say, just a quick little pause here. Questions like that and ideas and brains like that and projects like that belong inside of the balcony community. They belong in our Discord. that's a place where, we can really chop these things up. We can speak about them. It's a little bit of a different Discord than maybe what you're used to, because we're trying to bring in the entire real estate ecosystem. Everything from devs to attorneys to title insurance to brokers to sponsors, developers, general contractors. We want them in this space because we think that this is going to be encapsulated in an entirely new ecosystem soon. And so these are the kind of questions and these are the kind of ideas we want to play with to make this product and this platform better.
Great. Yeah. What's I'm looking for your Discord now. Oh, there it is. I found it. The balcony DAO one, right? That one.
That's it.
Okay.
Balcony DAO.
Great. Just accepted it. Thanks, John.
And if you're so inclined, you can grab a deed as well. We've got our deeds out right now, which is a whitelist for Balcony Asset Club, which is exactly that community that I just described. And Balcony Asset Club is the token that is required to make the investment into these assets. So we have our whitelisting tool for that out now, which is the Balcony deed that we've been selling. We've got a pretty big and growing community right now, and we'd love to have everybody in it.
That's awesome. Thanks, John. And just real quick, I agree that what you're doing here is, and what everybody who's in the space right now is, we are definitely looking at that this asset class is, frankly, in human history, it's land, real estate it holds its real value. And if we can just transfer into Web3 and make it so that in the near future, we should be able to, all coin and, ape together into owning buildings together and fractionalizing. And that's really what gets me so excited. I when I got into space like 6 months ago, I was all like looking at these NFT PFP projects, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but what's the utility? Going to a party? Like, how about like where we all own like buildings all over the world and we can just like stay at them for free for holders or something like that,
That's exactly right. I mean, I think real talk, I think that part of why housing prices, why these PFP projects and these alternative assets have become so valuable is the traditional path to home ownership, which is your toehold into building real wealth and stable compounding wealth in real estate, has become almost impossible for so many people. And today it's basically a binary, right? Like you either have the down payment and the credit to get the mortgage so that you can go live in this liability called a house, or you don't. And most people, frankly, don't. And so I think that's been a big reason why we've seen an expansion of alternative asset classes. And what we're offering is an alternative. You don't need $500,000 to get into real estate with this product. You get your toehold into the space, and you can continuously increase your holdings in real estate that's being professionally managed, and you can do so with confidence because you know that the professionals that are running it are doing so completely transparently. And so that is revolutionary in a sense. It shouldn't be. It frankly shouldn't be. It's criminal that it is, but it is revolutionary in terms of how it democratizes the asset class and who gets to participate and what that participation looks like and what the trajectory of individual investors into this asset class will become.
Thanks for taking my question, John.
Awesome.
Thank you, man.
Great question. See, we got a couple more that came up. We're going to go to Zadyverse and then over to Blake and then Justin. Again, if you have questions, this is a perfect time to be asking anything, real estate related, especially if you're someone that's in that crossover real estate to other space. You heard also there is a Balcony DAO Discord. If you're somebody that's interested in this, I'm getting super interested in real estate. I think that there's going to be some great opportunities over the next few years to participate in this asset class. And if you go into John's bio real quick, you'll see that there is the Discord link, discord.gg/balcony DAO. You'll also see the link. You can go to Balcony DAO and then you can go to their website, and I believe it's just balconydao.com. And then on there, you'll be able to go ahead and actually purchase a deed. So I am a deed holder. What the deed is going to be is essentially that guaranteed entrance into that Balcony DAO Asset Club that we talked about there. There's more stuff that comes along with the deed, but yeah, you can just go to balconydao.com to kind of see all of it for yourself, as well as the roadmap and some other things. There's a bunch of info here to look at. Yes, and I'll try to my best to pin up top. Or John, if you have any posts where people have bought deeds, I pinned a couple stuff up top. I pinned you on, the balcony and chill one, and I'll see if I can get something with it. But again, it's just balconydao.com. But if we can get a link with that, that would be perfect. And I'll put it up top. But for now, let's go over to Zadiverse or Zadiverse.
It was 80. You're right. Thank you. Appreciate you guys having this space, man. I see that it said real estate, and I got I got really excited. I'm like, oh, gotta go. I'm a real estate investor in Web2, and I got a lot of extensive background with electronics and storytelling and video games. So NFTs naturally drew me in, and I've been on a mission to merge the two worlds ever since I came into NFTs. Just kind of soaking up knowledge and merging. I come from me personally. I go to masterminds. I pay money to go into rooms with successful investors. They teach me the blueprint, and then I go and execute it. So that's the world that I came from, and I see something like that happening in Web3. I think it's perfect with like access tokens to get into a community, which is essentially a mastermind. I know two projects right now. I have my project, but the two projects that I know that are like about to launch right now, one of them is doing a Airbnb concept, which is brilliant because he's getting away from the SEC. So what he's doing is you buy the NFT to get access to being a member. You stake your NFT, and then you get your coins. You could use your coins then to purchase time slots of a house. So for instance, it'll be like November 1st to November 3rd, and you could like reserve the 3 days there. And you get that NFT and you get it for 2 3 years, whatever. But I love that concept because you're going past two different roadblocks. Number one is short-term rental rules and laws, because technically this is not a short-term rental. And the second thing is you're not selling the house to anybody, so it's not a security. And that I wanted to preface just with this question because, John, I know that personally we're working on it, and I know the two gentlemen that are working on their projects. One of them is just fractionalizing his house. He bought a house, he's fractionalizing it, and he wants to give shares to his people. From what I've been told, you can't take, I mean, the best way to, let me rephrase. So the best way to do this is with oracles, not really taking a real contract and converting it to a smart contract, but taking that real contract and then setting up an oracle and then having the smart contract contact the oracle, then telling it what to do, and then it executes the protocol. I want to know if that's.
So a couple things. You're right insofar as that there's a hard stop on the decentralization capacity of real estate because it's a centralized asset that lives in the meat space, and so you can't completely decentralize this. The oracles are critical, and then the integrity of those oracles then becomes crucial. And so we're not ready to announce it now, but we're actually developing a new protocol for the oracles as well that we think is more efficient for what we do in real estate, since we're not just simply putting data into a block, right? Like the data has real value and real import, and we're kind of scrutinizing who those stakeholders are and who those oracles are. So you're right in that sense. The security interpretation, I question though. Firstly, I think if you fractionalize any real property, that's a security. And so you can sort of abstract that into tokens and use semantics, but I'm not sure that that's actually going to play out that way over the coming year or so. And so, I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I'm just saying it's probably worth scrutinizing that. Our view is anytime you monetize real estate for yield, the itinerant yield becomes a security.
No,
That's our
100%. The second person is going the security route. He's creating the LLC and selling it. The other one is it's not a security because he's not selling real estate. He's selling the right to stay in that property for a certain amount of days. So that technically is not a security. Yeah, we have like security attorneys like talking about we need to hook up. I don't want to go back and forth here, but I came in here to network, and I see what you guys are doing. I want to help. I want to add the value that I have, and then just kind of mastermind because there's not a lot of people in NFTs and real estate. Like it's not it's not as big as it's going to be in 2 years. Let me just put it that way. So I'm here to support
Absolutely.
whatever I could do, my resources. I just respect what you guys are doing. So whatever resources that I have are yours. So just, I like to link up, and I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I like to just add value to the community. That's why I'm here.
That's great, man. Really appreciate that. I just want to put a button, consideration for you and your team, because we've seen this model presented to us before for people who wanted to bring it onto our platform when we release it to third parties. And one question that that I constantly have is what the dispossess process would be in these DAOs or in these NFTs that are then providing tenancy, whether for a short duration or longer, to these tenants or third parties or users, however you want to describe them. And so that becomes a critical part of the tokenomics, because I think that the real world dispossess process would be greatly frustrated by this technology. And in general, that would not inure to the benefit of the token holder, in my view. So there is a way to do it. There are ways to do it, and it's something that should be done. And I would love for the people doing it to be successful with it. But just throwing up that red flag there on, what the actual dispossess process looks like inside of the Web3 space. And so our approach is that it is a process that is completely done in the carbon space, in the meat space, that is then codified on the blockchain and automated on the blockchain. And that's how we've liberated ourselves from the potential liability of having a dispossess frustrated by unclear ownership, undoxed wallets. All these things become complicated, and we've sort of skirted around them completely and said, look, we're just going to do this the traditional way, and then bring that transaction onto the chain for investor scrutiny on a immutable permanent ledger.
Wow, I just joined the Discord, by the way. I love to get more deep into this, man. I appreciate you guys having the space and giving me a chance to speak with you guys and just share. So if anyone in here ever if you resonated with anything I say and you see something that I could add value to you with, please just reach out and mention this space, and I'll make sure to that commitment.
Zadiverse, appreciate you coming up here and sharing, and not at all. It was some great questions, some great content. That's exactly what we're looking for in here. If anybody else has, some questions or wants to, like he said right there, you're in this area and want to network, hop in. All right, Blake, coming to you.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? GM. John, it's always a pleasure to see you in these spaces, man. Always a wealth of knowledge in real estate. So just to give you a
Thanks,
little
man.
background, to give you a little background about me, I'm fully all in on crypto. I think for me, that's the asset class that I prefer. However, I do own a single family rental property, and at this point, it's kind of more of just a headache, and it kind of brings up some questions about your guys' DAO. So I'm curious, these properties that you guys are acquiring, and I'm assuming that you're renting out and cash flowing. Are those decisions for maintenance and property management? Are those decisions made by the DAO, or does the DAO employ like a management group? I'm just curious because you said you guys do everything the way that's the legal way today, and then you bring those transactions on chain. I'm really fascinated with fractionalizing real estate assets and how that may look. And I know, we talked a little bit about securities and some of those risks, but, the following question would be, do you see a future where, we can freely trade fractions of real estate, cross chain even, in the open 24-hour, 7-day a week network on something like Ethereum?
Yeah, that's exactly what we see. That's exactly what we're building. We specifically want to create the transparency in the asset so that liquidity can be made possible, right? That liquidity is not possible when you're looking at a building and you're like, I don't know. I guess people are paying rent. I hope the information's correct, right? And so under that fact set, you then have to interrogate all of the data that's being provided by a sponsor or somebody who's selling a property, which takes a great deal of time and slows down that transaction. That time suck is what breaks the possibility for liquidity, right? You can't just buy that transaction, buy that fractionalized ownership, because the data isn't there. And so we absolutely see the world where these marketplaces are fluid and capital stacks are fluid, and people can trade them 24/7. That is the end goal.
And then
Now
that
back
brings up
to
a whole other, scenario of the velocity of money and how that could affect the real estate in general.
Yeah, the way we see it affecting it is we think that the more liquid, more transparent assets are going to be worth more, because an investor will have more confidence in owning that asset. Now, how much more? There's no reason for us to even pontificate. We're not going to speculate on what it should be worth. We want assets to be worth their real value, but certainly we believe they're worth more to the extent they're more transparent and more liquid. More should not be 10x, more should not be 2x, but there's some quantum of additional marginal benefit to a transparent liquid asset versus the same asset that is opaque and illiquid. And the market is going to tell us what that is. Now with respect to your single family rental, a lot of those properties are people's first time attempt at getting into the real estate game. And the sad truth is most of those properties have more maintenance and overhead and more capital expenditure than they have an actual net operating income. Generally speaking, people aren't absolutely killing it on those deals unless you happen to buy into a gentrifying area and the asset just becomes worth a lot more money. And that's the unfortunate reality of what you're allowed to buy with a small amount of capital, right? And that's precisely what we're disrupting. Is we're saying, look, you can do that, and you will probably get almost no cash flow from your single family rental and a lot of headaches. Or
Yeah, it's more headache than cash flow.
Much more headache than cash flow for most people, right? That's most people's experience. And what we're providing is an alternative to that, a better core asset that's professionally managed. And then your question is, well, who's managing it, right? So every single one of these buildings becomes its own sub-DAO. And inside of that sub-DAO, those decisions are made through proposals, right? And the voting mechanism employed in those sub-DAOs is also based upon who owns it, right? And what their intentions are for the property. So the case may be that me and my partners own this asset and we want to manage it. We may decide that we bring it out as an asset that we professionally manage. And you may be investing in our ability to professionally manage it. Or we may say that we're going to have third-party management, and we're going to bring out 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 opportunities for you to look at these competing groups that will bid for the business and manage this property professionally. And if there is an instance where they fail, we have the ability to replace them, right? And so all of these decisions and the structure of these decisions are decisions made by the sponsors and the investors in each one of these assets that live in their own sub-DAO. So Balcony DAO is this platform, and 123 Main Street becomes an acquisition that's a sub-DAO. And inside of that sub-DAO, Blake, you're an investor with me and everybody else in this group, and we decide how we're going to run that asset.
I think that makes perfect sense, man. And I love the capabilities of blockchain and Web3 to kind of disrupt the traditional, route that a small amount of capital can go if you're wanting to get into real estate, right? And you said it, you hit the nail on the head. Most people, it is their first go of trying to invest in real estate and acquire a single family or multifamily home that they can rent out. And at the end of the day, for me, it has been more of a headache than what I was really looking to get out of it. So yeah, I think having these structures in place where we're able to utilize DAOs and voting mechanisms and these sub-DAO structures, I'm excited, man. You're definitely on the cutting edge of real estate innovation. So yeah, I'll definitely be hopping in your Discord.
Thanks, man. Welcome to Balcony DAO. Jump in.
Love it, Blake. Great stuff. We've had Blake on a bunch of Web3 spaces lately, and we also have had Abbas who's been hopping on. So I wanted to bring you in on this, Abbas. And also, I actually had asked you for the next one, but then I just threw the invite because we were already live. We're doing another token one at 2:30, but right now this is a really cool conversation covering real estate with John from the Balcony DAO team, Tyler, John. The people up here have some really strong real estate backgrounds. They're obviously have a great understanding of Web3. Abbas, have you looked into this area at all with kind of the benefits of the mixture of real estate and Web3?
First, hi, and sorry, I'm late on this show and got sucked into other big space, and some drama. So, but first of all, thank you all for having me again. I see familiar faces post Blake from yesterday. John, how you doing, buddy? And I kind of like missed the first introduction of the project that you are working on. So, my understanding that you're creating an NFT deeds from the balcony where people can come together in buying real estates in real life. Is that correct?
We're creating fractionalized ownership in the NFT. The deed is our whitelist tool for Balcony Assets Club, which is your pass to purchase those NFTs and be part of the DAO. So it is really the RE NFT that is the technology that is powering the fractionalized ownership of real estate. And we chose the NFT because a non-fungible token is the digital equivalent of a non-fungible asset, real estate. And so we think that this is the correct tool rather than an ERC20, a fungible token to represent these assets on chain and trade them. We also think that the NFT acts as this wrapper that's similar to an SPV, right? So it could be 123 Main Street LLC, which owns 123 Main Street. And it's also sort of this digital folder, if you will, where all of the metadata lives on chain, which you obviously can't do with a typical token, an ERC20. And so it's in our view the ideal technology to bring real estate into the 21st century.
That's pretty cool. And sorry, I'm gonna have another question related to. So this is actually an existing real estate in real life, or it's like the DAO is going to be responsible on acquiring more real estates in the future, and this is going to be divided on the percentage based on the monthly rent. Like all these questions probably you covered, but it's like three questions, like really quick.
Yeah, so we have a $2 billion pipeline of assets that we're bringing on chain that we own or control. And when you purchase the NFT, you're purchasing your fractional share, pari passu, part over whole of the entire capitalization of that asset. So it's real estate with real yields. The properties that we're starting with are development properties, but we're also going to be bringing on stabilized cash flowing multifamily, industrial, across the sub asset classes as well.
That's cool. Again, like really quick question as well. This is going to be allocated based on the entire portfolio of real estates that you have, or it's like depend on
No,
the areas?
no. So each individual asset is capitalized as an NFT. They're all individually owned and operated. That leaves open for us in the future to create synthetic ETFs by taking back a portion of the total capitalization that we own and using that as ETFs for people who want access to portfolio wide investments. But the idea is that we want investors to be able to purchase individual assets, which means, you may have a prejudice for office. I have a prejudice for certain types of office, certain types. Not every single office building I think is doomed, but there are very many office buildings that I look at. I look at the weighted average lease terms. I look at the rents that are in place now, the debt that are on the property now, and I think to myself, this is not an asset that I would love, right? You don't have to invest in that asset. You could say, like me, that you want to be in perhaps industrial, or you want to be in multifamily, or you want to be, in any other of the sub asset classes. And so it'll leave open the ability for investors to identify the investments that they think are ideal for their particular investment criteria is paramount. And the way that we do that is by making every single asset its own NFT that's individually capitalized.
Oh, that's amazing. By the way, it's a great idea. And another thing that I wanted to ask also, I'm sorry about like if there is any other on the speaker side like they have asked questions, but for example, you have one of the holders or someone want to approach you as a project to list one of the buildings, for example, that they have, or whatever the real estate that they have to be fractionalized in your project. Are you open for that in any way, or like are you thinking about that and in expanding the portfolio of buildings or real estate assets that you have?
We absolutely are, and the way that that's going to work is, firstly, the platform is designed to be expanded to third party sponsors and developers to bring their projects on, right, or landlords, as the case may be. But the process of doing that is that we need to underwrite and vet every one of those assets, right, from ownership structure to encumbrances. We need to know that what's being offered is legal, it's correct, that the information is accurate, that the pro forma and the assumptions make sense. What we don't want to do is create an opportunity for people to bring toxic assets onto a platform and then dump them on our community, right? And so part of what people are investing in is our integrity and our commitment to make sure that the projects that we bring out are projects that are ought to at least have a high likelihood, I guess is what the SEC would like us to say, to perform uh, as they're projected.
Well, thank you so much for all of the answers. Kind of like, gonna dive more into the website. I see the balcony is in the listeners, so I'm gonna check it out later on. But another thing about the asset management is, are you taking fees from the kind of like, sales on asset management services that you are providing to the investors, or this is already included in the offers that you're giving?
The asset manager is paid an asset management fee the way they would in any traditional deal. If we're the asset manager, then we're the recipient of that fee. I think that in general, we will not be managing third party assets. We'll be managing our own assets. And we're probably not wanting to become the manager of, a great quantity of assets, especially since they're going to be spread over a large geographic area. And so when you're making that investment, the details of that will be visible inside of each one of those investment offerings.
This was my last question. Thank you so much for the answers. Thank you, Gal.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, John, I know you have a hard stop coming up. I went ahead and I pinned up top for anyone who wants to go ahead and pick up a deed. Just a reminder, I am a deed holder as well, and this is kind of going to be your access into the real estate world. John, if you kind of want to wrap up here on your end, and for everyone else, I think we're going to have another space. I'm kind of chatting with them. I was supposed to do another space starting in 10 minutes, but the people who are supposed to come on are being a little bit flaky. I understand people have a lot of stuff going on today. So, John, I'll just turn it over to you for just explain kind of what people get with that deed, and then anything else you want to say on this one.
Actually, if Dan's around, Dan Dan can put a button on this for us right now. Dan, you want to tell everybody what the process is while I sign off?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, what we're offering is there's really two pillars to what we're doing. So the first pillar is the Balcony Assets Club, and that's like the network pass into the foundation of our DAO. All those people are coming from the NFT space, from the crypto community, and it's the bridge that allows them to buy the real estate deals that we put onto our platform. So each deal, each property is its own offering, and that real estate offering comes onto our platform, and the Balcony Asset Club holders have the first right of refusal to mint those NFTs before they go to the general public. And they also have the right to vote on certain things, bring certain deals to the table, network with each other, and facilitate deals. All these people are members of this ecosystem, the real estate ecosystem, to put deals together. And the crypto investors who are part of this community, are able to take the gains they've made flipping NFTs and turn them into something tangible like real estate. That kind of bridge merges the two worlds, the crypto world and the real estate world. That NFT is coming out in a few months. The deed is the whitelist for that NFT. So you buy the deed, you get a whitelist. It's the only guaranteed whitelist spot for Balcony Assets Club, which is coming soon. And then as real estate properties become onboarded onto our platform, you'll have the opportunity to invest in those deals. So that ties it up. Just one actually other thing to mention is that the real estate NFT deals are securities, so they're limited. There's certain gates, barriers to entry. You have to be KYC'd and in some cases accredited investors. So we created a way to include everyone. The Balcony Assets Club is that way that incorporates everyone to the community, and then the real estate NFT deals. There's an extra step, which is either accreditation or KYC component. So obviously, as John described, we're fully legally compliant. So that's the best way we could see to bridge those two worlds.
Awesome. All right. I think that was a great explanation there, Dan. Appreciate you giving that. I know John had to hop off. So I'm going to keep the space open for about 10 more minutes, and I'm just going back and forth with the 2:30 p.m. We were supposed to have on Grove Token. They're a pretty interesting token doing some stuff. It's very environmentally focused, so I did kind of like that. And I was trying to get them on to chat. The problem, it seems to be, is a little bit of a time zone thing. Part of their team is in a different part of the world, and it doesn't seem like they've woken up yet. So I'm chatting with one of them, but trying to get the other ones on. Regardless, I think we're going to do just a few more minutes here. I see we
Hey,
brought up Bad Monkey. What's up?
yes, hi. So I actually have a real estate project as well that we I love what crypto Damus is saying, because yeah, we had the same problem, right? Like securities, so they had to be KYC. So actually, we're in Mexico. We moved down to Tulum, which is the crypto capital of Mexico. A lot of crypto from Portugal, from like Europe, and all around the world in the states coming down here. If I can, I pin something just to ask you guys' opinion on what I'm
Sure.
talking about. We're
Yeah,
building.
yeah, fine by me.
Okay, so I mean, I saw this guy do a thread, and it covers pretty much everything, and so I just pinned it. Yeah, it says in real life community, in real life action. Basically, same thesis. Like take some of your gains from crypto and NFTs flipping, and then you can basically buy timeshare. And if you want to give you KYC, you can actually buy properties and plots and apartments that we're building down here. And we're starting with Mexico because it's very. Actually, I don't know if any one of you know, but Mexico is pioneer. In 2017, they did the digital assets law. Basically, they don't care what you do with your crypto, which is awesome. We think it's a paradise. Just when you do like USDC or Solana or whatever, you do it into pesos. That's when they care. But basically, when you just use it through Phantom or MetaMask and through Bitso, which is like the Mexican version of Coinbase, you don't experience any type of capital gains or nothing. Only when you convert that crypto into pesos. So it's just a paradise. And then Portugal, same thing, regulation very similar to Mexico. And just to invite everyone to the Gorilla if you're interested in the same thing. And I am very like open to feedback or criticism, constructive criticism, right? Um, as investors, high level like you guys are, like what do you see from this post, or like how can this project get more exposure? What do you think like it's missing? Because it's like I think that we need more projects doing this so that people also trust like the kind of like the meta, right? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah. I
they
think it looks like a great project, man. I have to take a dive in and take a look, but it seems like you're doing things the right way and keeping regulations in mind. So I think we should connect offline. We should hop on and chat, and I'll take a deeper dive. But I think you're going about it the right way, and I think it's something that's going to be very intriguing to people in crypto, especially like on a day like today. You know, when they realize that you could invest in something a lot more stable and obviously still have exposure to crypto. And a lot of people don't have that opportunity to invest in real estate. We're bringing on our own real estate that, you know, we're starting with our own opportunities that we have in
Mhm.
our pipeline and our shovel ready and ready to go. And a lot of those properties do have tax advantages as well. So that's obviously another, reason why you would want to do this. You take gains that you made flipping a picture of a monkey, right? And you have a massive capital gains liability, and we have deals in opportunity zones in New Jersey, so that allows you to take gains made in any asset class and invest that into opportunity zones and use it to legally defer your taxes for a number of years, and then get tax advantages after you sell after a set period of time. So it's an interesting way to take gains, like, you know, from something that's not backed by anything and put it into something tangible and stable and earn yield off of it, or an actual income, and, you know, sit and let it appreciate and don't have to worry about, you know, on a day like today, or like yesterday, the market crashing and losing, 70% of its value. It's not going to happen with real estate. So we kind of think like NFT 2.0 is real world asset backed NFTs,
yes,
and is
yes.
kind of like, you know, the next transition for NFTs.
Definitely, bro. I would definitely need to talk about like the taxes and how do you can like do a strategy to put it into yes these NFT 2.0s, which is real assets. I send you a DM, so thank you so much for that. And then just one last thing, also like I had this idea in a DAO because I'm with the Gorilla DAO, and I was putting all this information into the team and into the consulting team. because we get Shelva, the token, for 2 years, right? That's the passive income. But the utility of it is you can already go into these Airbnb complexes from these like network of builders down there in Tulum. You can already like exchange like nights, kind of like instead of paying with your card or even the crypto. I mean, this is crypto. You can pay with this Solana token, right? Which I thought it was like amazing. Like instead of like Airbnb, what does Airbnb take? PayPal, and I think that they already started taking crypto. I guess you do crypto through PayPal, right? Um, but I mean, I just thought like maybe I can just pull up with my Solana wallet, my Phantom, and just pay with Shelva, and they're like, yeah. So I thought that was like, wow. I don't know if that is something also that handles securities or not, because I mean it's like a stay, right? It's like paying someone like just how like send me Solana and I'll mint for you or whatever. Like people are just sending Solana around. Um, Maybe people can be also sending these other Solana token around paying for stays. What is their
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes things a lot easier, obviously, and we're kind of we want to be agnostic as to what currencies we accept. We want to be able to accept fiat. We want to be able to accept Ethereum. We want to be able to take Bitcoin. So that's obviously like part of what Web3 is, just making things easier and moving money around easier.
perfect? Yes. So that's the right vision then. Yeah, because I mean I was like I don't know if you can buy a property right with because of all the KYC, but maybe you can buy a weekend on Cancun, and pay with this Shelva token or even like Dust. Dust is gonna be used for like stuff. So why not all these other Solana token? So thank you for that. And then I just pinned the stuff so you can check it out. I would really like any of you guys listening feedback. Hit my DMs. I've been working. I've been working also with the Bears whales. Just a lot of ETH people bringing money into like Solana. So I'm interested into like getting actual real value into the projects. Right. I don't know if you guys also heard about Parcel, another like real estate.
Yeah, we're familiar. Listen, I gotta hop. I have a call coming up at 2:30, but let's connect. I'll reach out and we'll get together. We'll talk a little bit more. It sounds like this is the end of the conversation, so let's keep talking,
Appreciate it.
guys. Had a great time. Thank you, Gav. Appreciate it as always, and excited to talk next week.
Sweet. Dan, great having you on. One more time, that was the Balcony DAO team. We had Dan and John on from their team. Pinned up top, you can go ahead and pick up your deed. You can also hop into their Discord if it's some real estate something you're interested in. And by the way, a lot of smart people that I know take their profits off of the stock market and pour that right into real estate. So if you haven't already joined up, you can go to discord.gg/balconydao. You can also just go to @balconydao on Twitter and you can check into their profile where you'll be able to see all different types of things that they're doing. Listen, before you make any purchases, go ahead and do due diligence. I'm fully in favor of that, but it's a really, really unique and cool concept. It's not being done by a lot of people, and it's certainly not being done by a lot of teams that have this much experience in the real estate world. All right, Albert, do you have a question?
Yeah. First and foremost, thank you for the space that you guys are holding. Now, the question that I have is there any platform that you're verifying the deeds and the paperwork that consists with the real estate asset or the acquirement of the real estate?
This is, yeah, Dan?
Sorry. Well, the question was what the deed. So I think what you were asking is like the regulations on the deed, and the deed is actually just a white list token. So it's not a security. It's something that's fully transferable, tradable on OpenSea, just like any other Ethereum based NFT. So the actual real estate NFT, the re-NFT, is something that's different that requires like KYC wallets to make the transactions, and in some cases accreditation, and there's a lot more policies put on that. But the deed is something you could just purchase now. It's tradable on OpenSea, and it's not a security.
Nice. All right, Dan, I don't want to keep you too long. You got your thing?
All right, Gav, take care, man. Thank you.
Of course. Tyler, I know you have to hop too. Anything else you want to share?
No, this is awesome. Sorry I wasn't participating nearly as much as I was early. I felt like it was only right to allow other people to ask questions, considering I feel like me and John went for like 40 minutes last week, just me and him. But I love what Balcony DAO is doing. I'm pretty affiliated with a non Web3 version of Balcony DAO called Lex, and I just love the space. I think Web3 poses a ton of opportunities to democratize the real estate industry, and anyone that's trying to do that is a friend of mine. So if anyone has any questions about the space or wants to brainstorm ideas or talk about ideas in the space, shoot me a DM. Happy to talk or get on a phone call and just jam on ideas and brainstorm how we can make this space better. But Gav, you're the man. Thanks for having me, and everyone, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Love it. Tyler, you're great. Tyler, am I seeing you later on the Lex space today?
I didn't even realize there was a Lex space today.
5 p.m.
I'll,
EST, my guy.
I'll DM you. Peace.
All
I
right.
should be
Let
on.
me.
I should be on at that time.
Can you text Jesse to make sure he knows?
Yeah, I'll text him.
Thank you. Okay.
All
All
right. See
right.
you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So again, we were supposed to have a space now with Grove Token. I'm chatting with them back and forth. It sounds like their main person is just caught up in a time zone thing. So let's just go for another minute here. A couple other people came up. I just want to give them a minute to comment. And if you know if we end up getting them on, we get them on. If not, we don't. It'll be fine one way or the other. But I brought up Kelly first. Kelly, what's going on? Did you have a comment?
I did actually. When you guys were talking about tokenizing real estate and verification on the deed, I happen to be part of a DAO, Blocks DAO, and we have a partner over at Humble, and they are actually doing third-party verification with our token because we're blockchain agnostic. And so we work with several side chains. And what they're doing is basically putting an added layer of security that verifies the hash. So someone can't take your NFT and change out a 0 with an O and remint it, because the second that hash doesn't you, but that verification is what tells you that the hash matches. And so they have filed they have a API that is supposed to be available soon, where you can, yeah, verify any NFT. So I think this is a really cool conversation you guys are having.
Yeah, that does sound pretty interesting. I know sometimes we have some pretty technical oriented people in here, so if anybody wants to throw anything on that, but I just appreciate you sharing it with us.
Well, and interestingly enough, our DAO, our token, came out of legislation from Wyoming, which recognized us as the first DAO LLC ever. And this is why we have actually, like right out the gate, one of our first partnerships, and that's been using this verification system is the United States Air Force. And we've expanded since then to where here in California, we have legislation going through to start verifying credentials on high school transcripts through blockchain, connecting them with junior colleges. City of Santa Cruz is testing out digital wallets right now, verifying credentials. I mean, everything you guys are talking about is actually happening. It's crazy.
It really is. It's a nuts world that is changing so much. Okay, I just got confirmation from that project that they are going to push to next week. So I'll give final comments here. Stephen, appreciate you popping in. I know I'd asked you for this, and I'm sorry it didn't end up happening. Hope you're having a pretty good day regardless. Anything else going on with you that you want to share?
I loved the tokenized real estate space, and I know I'm jumping in a little late on that. I don't know if you guys covered
You should come in. Are you
Lofty.
coming in today at 5 to our real estate space?
Oh man, I don't think I can. Uh, Today at 5 p.m. Eastern.
That is correct.
Yeah, I can make that. Yeah,
Okay,
good
there we
man.
go.
Yeah. But I love this space. I think there's a ton of potential here. You use Lofty AI, Lofty.ai, and I just today withdrew the rent that I had accrued on the Algorand blockchain and sold it, changed it into cash, and took it out. I love it. There's a ton of potential here. And so Yeah, I want to, save the content for 5 p.m. Eastern there. So I'll save. I'll
Cool.
kind of shut up here and stuff. But yeah, what was your thought on the SoFi and UST developments of late, man? I haven't
Yeah,
caught up with you on any of those. Like, holy, the last couple of days have been like off the hook. Like, it's been difficult to kind of keep your head on the sea, kind of keep your head on a swivel type of thing. But
Yeah,
what's your take on the UST thing?
yeah, it's kind of freaky, what's happening with UST. I think I kind of see it now better for what it was, which was that concentrated attack where a number of whales were coming in and just messing with the liquidity pools. They were able to pull it down pretty far, obviously. Yeah, that was definitely scary. I actually sold part of my position last night at point 0.8 just because it was. I held a good amount, but to be honest, it wasn't a position where, listen, if they're going to have a concentrated attack, obviously I woke up this morning and regretted that because I ended up locking in like, I don't know, like a 15K loss. But better than, honestly, first off, I don't think I could have slept otherwise. And then second of all, you win some, lose some. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty scary to see stable coins, that is in the name, stable coins, not doing that and, breaking the peg. And I know it's broken the peg beforehand, but this seems to be the largest break of the peg that it's ever seen. Certainly a little bit terrifying. They're having a lot of problems as well with cash inflows and outflows. And then the biggest reason why I actually ended up exiting part of that position and why I'm actually considering exiting the rest of my position, even here at what would still be a 9% loss, is because of the amount of money that's flowed out of Anchor. So if you look at Anchor, it actually dropped $10 billion in the last 48 hours. They were over 19 billion. They're actually now closing in on the low 8 billions. So that was a big move. They've tried to, they tried to stabilize it yesterday by moving up to 20.5% APY. They've moved back to 18.5% today. Unfortunately, I'm a big follow the money type person, and I actually had kind of broken my rule because I was watching the money trickle out, and I said when it gets to 12 billion, I'm going to exit this position because I'm not comfortable with that. However, I didn't realize that it would take 3 hours to move money at the time because there was so much going on. So I ended up not exiting that position at 0.96 like I wanted to, and instead I exited part of it at 0.8. Retrospect, a mistake, sucks. I can't look back at this point. If I'm just gonna like beat myself up over it, I'll never move on and make any other good financial decisions. So a little bit scary what's going on there, but it looks like they're trying to repeg it. My thing is I'm gonna wait for this peg back, and if they do get the repeg, I'm gonna exit the position. Unfortunately, my trust has been broken in this, which is very sad because it was a very cool position. The thing that would make me come back is if the money comes back, right?
Yeah.
If I see 5-10 billion move back into Anchor, I'll follow it back in. That's fine with me, but I'm not a type of person who sees $10 billion do something and does the opposite.
Well, because they're selling off their Bitcoin holdings, and I would presume other digital assets too, in order for them to shore up to get the peg back. But once they get the peg back, and they have no assets underlying, and all the money's flowing out, like sure you have a peg, but it's not. There's nothing backing it anymore. You need to have that inflow, like you were saying. Come back and shore it up and build out a solid balance sheet. They're liquidating their balance sheet in order to get that UST peg back, and I agree with you. I would get out if you're able to get some out now at that 0.92 and 0.94, 0.96 as they get towards that peg. I think it's a good move.
I may even sell a little bit more right here, to be honest. I'm still holding transparently right now. I'm still holding a little bit over 40,000 UST. So just it's a position, and
Is there any inflow coming back? Is there any confidence coming back?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the biggest piece of confidence was this morning when Do Kwon tweeted. Well, first off, what we saw last night was the Asia markets woke up and provided a lot of liquidity here and began buying, and a lot of them saw arbitrage opportunities here of just buying UST, and they started grabbing it at 70, 80 cents, and they just wrote it up 10, 20%. It was all the way back to 93 this morning. Do Kwon went ahead at 11:30 a.m. tweeted that he was close to announcing a recovery plan for UST. He has not announced it yet. So I think that's where the hope is coming from, is kind of waiting on a potential recovery plan from Do Kwon to be announced. But then the biggest thing is just that, it's back above 0.9, that it's been holding 0.9 all morning, that there's, a good amount of liquidity that seems to be in there now. It's just, moving. So I don't know. I mean, I think that there is hope that is there.
Yeah, let me just. I guess I just change this. Change the space title for a second. UST Hope. So yeah, it's hard to say. It's such a hard thing right now, to go in and just bite like another here. I'm taking like a 9% loss on something which the whole point of it was, I wasn't even trying to make necessarily the gain off the asset, right? I was just trying to collect interest and stuff off of that. But yeah, a bit of a learning lesson for sure, in this case. And I honestly don't know. Do not know exactly what is going to happen here. Just here for the ride at this point and just seeing where it goes, but trying not to make any, poor decisions in the moment.
And it's crazy the trickle down effects of this because as you know, I had some USDT, and you asked me last week, why are you holding that? That's risky. You should get out of it. And I think if any of the stable coins is going to falter, that was the one that people were looking at. I know UST had some depegging, but they got it back right away. Anyways, the trickle down effect of this, I converted all
So
my USDT into USDC this morning because I want one of those fully audited, fully transparent stable coins, and so I moved over to USDC as a side effect of this. What's going on with UST? So I don't know. I feel there's going to be quite a few people looking for confidence or gravitating towards it and stuff. So yeah, I was really curious on your take on UST. I know Andy, oh hi Andy, has a lot of UST as well too. So been trying to follow
it
up with him as
it's like
well.
5% of his portfolio though.
Yeah,
All right, yeah, I just actually bought another $10,000 of USDC while we're talking.
yeah. That's that one, and I think GUSD I've heard is also fully audited and fully transparent on how much US cash they're holding there. And then I know Gerg is big on USDC as well.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
see good ways to make money off USDC. Not the money that I was making, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Right now, I still just have this nest egg, and I'm kind of just holding on to it. It's unfortunately, not quite where it was at a few days ago. But yeah, I mean, I guess I have like, it's not bad. It's like a little like 65, 70K, just like sitting in here in a couple stable coins.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going. Always tough to take losses. I'll put that out there, but at some point you need to have some peace of mind. Otherwise you just really can't function, and it just like makes things in life, just in general, like way harder. Abbas, any thoughts on any of this? Have you been following?
Yeah, I've been following. So the thing that I do like always whenever there is a shake in the market, I just switch my like regularly from the stock, I switch it to be in cash. And uh I did this previously, but now I'm just like just not doing that anymore. So I don't hold anything in UST or USDD or wherever other things are. So. But I think this is based on the entire market itself. So if you see like the market itself has been shaking like really really big since the Feds announced that point raise in interest, and it's been all over the stocks and the crypto space. So I think this might correct itself by itself in the future, since this is not some type of investments, kind of like it just like in my opinion, just like a link between, just you move it from there to a safer place where you're not losing on your investment, and you after the market start like moving, you start like using that. So to be honest, I'm not using this strategy in the crypto. I use it more in the stock, in my stock investments.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty fair. um all right, yeah, I mean, I think that goes over a lot of it. Steven, I got about an hour until my next space. Oh, but Stock Talk's here, so let's see what Stock Talk has to say. What's up, Stock Talk? I know, it's my good friend, my great friend, Stock Talk Daily.
Wolf, long time. Oh gosh. All right, Gerg, what's up?
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, okay. Steven, it's your best friend. Stock Talk Daily.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love the filter, buddy. It's awesome. Did Gerg win the Market Madness? Was he the winner?
He
I
did.
don't
He did.
remember who won.
Gerg, you gonna send me the address or no? Did you see my DM?
I got nothing animals. I don't even know you.
All right.
I can hear his manner of speaking through his filter. Not even just the accent. No, it's not that. It's the manner of speaking when he says, "I don't even know who you are." I can hear it through there, man. That's awesome. What was your take on SoFi today, man? They're
So
back trading
ask
again. What's your
Talk
take on it?
Talk Daily, who likes Shamak. So far had pretty good numbers, not gonna lie. But again, I am not a fan of what they did with the mistake. Did you guys see what happened though?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, they leaked earnings early, and then they started to go down, and then they halted their stock
For like
how long was it?
two and
Like
a half
2 hours?
hours.
And then it just resumed, went up, and then down, and now it's back up
Yeah,
again.
5:30 sure, about
But
sure.
yeah,
The
5:30.
numbers
Yeah.
look decent. It's not terrible, but again, I think they're gonna have some more headwinds. And the balance sheet doesn't look great, so that might indicate they do another capital raise pretty soon in the future.
Sorry, I didn't get that last bit. So you thought the numbers looked good, but the balance sheet
No,
doesn't look
I
that
think
good?
looking at the bond rate, they might do another offering pretty soon to raise more capital.
Hmm.
But yeah, looking at the topic, did you guys see what happened yesterday?
Did we see what happened yesterday with
No,
what?
no,
Everything was
look at
like
the
on
topic.
fire.
No, no,
So
no, no. The headline, I mean, USC.
oh, yeah, we were just talking about that before you got on, and how we were just getting
So
the latest takes on
yesterday, if
that.
I'm not wrong, my friend Wolf and my friend Calvin, they were talking about this on his
Yep.
face.
I should have gotten out that morning when you said it.
No, not me. I think I was not the one who said. I think Kevin said that. I think at that time it was. I think it was barely down though, right? Like 3 cents, 2 cents, right?
Yeah, well, I really should have gotten it all out at 0.96 because I saw this start falling. But the problem was I did not realize how long the transfer time takes to move your money off of the Terra wallet, especially when I guess everything is so jam packed with like everybody trying to do transactions that just did not work like I thought it was going to because I've never had transaction times like that before.
So you're telling me you can't just cash out right away? You have to wait for them to approve it?
You can so what you can do is you can move your money out of Anchor pretty instantaneously into your Terra wallet, but then once it's in your Terra wallet, you can exchange it for either Luna or a number of other coins, but not your traditional ones. Like you can't change it to like an Ethereum or like a something like that inside of your Terra wallet. What you need to do is you need to send it from your Terra wallet to a brokerage. I use KuCoin, and oh boy, once you get it into KuCoin, then you can exchange it. But the transaction time to get it from your Terra wallet to KuCoin typically takes me a minute, maybe. It took 3 hours yesterday.
That's insane.
So
Did she have
yeah.
you lost some trust in USD?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like not fully, but like definitely not at the point where I was at before. I mean, I sold at this point I've sold about 65% of my position.
In USD.
Yeah, I just moved it into USDC.
That's the best one, right?
I hope so until proven wrong.
I think one thing that makes me more confident about USDC is BlackRock is the one that's managing their money now.
One more time?
You know BlackRock?
What about
BlackRock
BlackRock?
is the one that's managing USDC's money now. In
Interesting.
Tether, no
Okay.
one has any clue where the money is, but for this, it's BlackRock. And BlackRock has over 11 trillion in assets, and they're going nowhere.
Here, wait. I'm gonna hop in on this. One sec. Let me hop in on this filter for a second.
Also, Steven, can you stop using a voice filter? Like, it's annoying.
Jeez. If Wolf puts on the same filter, I'm gonna feel like I'm hanging out with a bunch of squirrels. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Here we
does it
go.
sound like me?
Not at all. He's like opposite you. Oh my gosh. I I have no idea what you guys are saying. I feel like I'm in an insane asylum. Oh my gosh. That's perfect. You guys sound amazing.
All right.
I have no idea what you're
All
saying.
right.
There we go.
I'm good on this
There we
one.
go.
I'm gonna close this one out. Abbas, appreciate you coming. Steven, thanks for popping in.
Hey,
Stock
yeah, no doubt. And I'll see you in a couple hours here. But Wolf, I did want to ask you when you're withdrawing your money on UST to KuCoin, what blockchain were they using in order to get that transfer over there?
the Luna.
The Luna? Okay. Yeah. Just curious on that. I didn't know how it functioned.
Yep. You have to do Luna, and you have to make sure that you put in the right memo. Otherwise, your money
Yeah.
will not come through.
That would have been a stressful 3 hours, man. I feel for you. I know the first time I did a
It was
transfer and
actually
it
a
took.
good thing. No, it was a good thing it took 3 hours because the price went back up during that time.
Oh, good,
So
good,
I
good.
actually would have probably sold at a lower amount. I really should have just held it all to today, but I took, unfortunately, a bit of a loss last night. But again, and I know this is, easier for some to say than others, but at the end of the day, I could sit here, be very sad about it, moan, cry, whine, and none of that is going to change anything at all. And also, to be honest, $15,000 is not going to make or break the future. We'll come back, be stronger, be a good time, even though it is a decent sized amount of the money that I had in there. And life will go on. So that's all I got for now. Appreciate you guys. Steven, anything else you want to say?
No, man, awesome space, and I'll see you in a couple hours.
Okay. See everybody soon. Take care.